Hey, what's up, everybody? I know folks are trickling in here. So would love to know where you're from. Go ahead and hit us in the chat with that. We'll wait a few minutes for people to get here from wherever they're coming from. And then we'll dive right into it. All right. Let us know where you're from in the chat. Cool. Some Texas.
Sean Heisen. What's up, Sean? Mitchell. I
I'm
know
sure you know some of
Mitchell.
these folks. Breckenridge, what's up? I live in Golden, so I'm Colorado folks. Hell yeah. A worldly group.
A lot of Texas people.
A lot of Texas people. Hell yeah.
Kingston,
Jamaica,
Jamaica. Shit.
super cool. This is like my favorite part of every episode that we do. Just to see like, I mean, there's some wild, wild
You
places
ever
that
get
I
anybody from Russia?
have we. Not that I've seen. Probably though, I imagine at least because that's where your family's from, right?
That's where I was born. Jen Jarvis from Connecticut. What part of Connecticut? I grew up in Cheshire and lived in New Haven, Greenwich, and
Greenwich. I
I
was in.
worked and lived in Stanford from 2007 to 2021. Greenwich Equinox
Yeah.
was my first gym job.
We're gonna talk about that today,
Yes, we
which
will.
will be awesome. South
Oh
Africa in the
shit.
house. So cool.
Hopefully we can unmute you at some point and hear your awesome accent.
Yeah. I love it. Cool. All right, folks. Well, we're gonna get going. Everybody, welcome. Unracked is a live conversation series from Bridge Athletic. Bridge provides coaching tools to world-renowned organizations like the Philadelphia Eagles, Naval Special Warfare, University of Arizona, and Westside Barbell. They provide those very same tools for coaches like me and you to use in our communities to deepen the training experience. Unracked is a free educational series Bridge puts on to break down the training systems, methods, and philosophies that drive performance at the highest level. Each episode takes you inside a specific approach, how it's built, how it's applied, and how it evolves under real world conditions. Today's guest is a nutrition coach, full service online coach, and host of the Real Coaches Summit, where he helps coaches and clients build sustainable systems for training, nutrition, and mindset. Like so many coaches, Aram Grigorian transitioned into coaching from a career in another field, finance in his case. In the last decade, Aram has worked with hundreds of clients. There is no secret to his sauce, all right, as I'm sure we'll come to find throughout this episode, but there is some magic in the way that he does it. And Aram, thanks for being here, man, and welcome to the show. Stoked to dive in.
Thanks, man. First, I want to just take an opportunity to thank Bridge, thank the two people that I know well at Bridge, who are Cooper and Matt. Matt's not here, or Max rather, sorry. And I want to thank all of you for taking the time out of your schedule to come here. And I want to preface this conversation by saying that I am not an expert at anything. I have enough experience in this field. I've been around the block long enough to see what's worked and what hasn't. I haven't figured all this shit out yet, and I probably never will. But I will give you my perspective, and your job as somebody with a functioning brain is to use discernment to take what you need out of this conversation and leave what you don't, because nothing I'm going to say is gospel at all.
Beautiful. Love that. And appreciate you setting the stage in that way. And I think to set the stage in a different way, I'm so curious. There's so many people who transition, from one career into training or go into training to another career. And I'm so curious, like, you and I both started our careers at Equinox. And I'm super curious, and it's a story I haven't heard, but really, how did you decide to transition away, um, you know, from finance and into training? And then what was the deciding factor for Equinox in particular?
So to set the stage, it was 2012. I was on the back end of a finance career. I used to work in the commodities trading space. The firm that I worked for was Sempra Energy Trading. They were on their way to getting acquired by three different finance companies, big banks, Societe Generale, RBS, JP Morgan. And I was on like the tail end of that transition, basically getting our business unit chunked up and being sold. And they just kept kind of throwing referral bonuses at us to stay and clean house. So here I am, like 25, 26 years old, and I'm getting like 40 grand checks like every 6 or 7 months from these companies. And stupid me is just spending all of it, thinking like this waterfall will never stop. I had already been interested in training and nutrition, training formally. I'd already started kind of like on the side, helping people out, not really charging anything at that point yet, but just kind of taking people under my wing. I had been like the go-to guy at the office for like, what are you eating today? And why are you eating that? And can I train with you tonight? And stuff like that. So, kind of looking and playing the part informally. And then in 2012, March is when I finally formally got laid off, which is like was
Mm.
the last part of our transition in our company. And then I just kind of did the what the fuck do I do thing. I knew that I had enough money sitting around from all the different bonuses that we were getting at that point, and there was also a severance package that they gave us that I didn't have to make any immediate choices. So I bought an ASM book secondhand from somebody. I don't even remember what version it was. My girlfriend that I was dating at the time worked at a school in Jersey, North Jersey, so I would basically drive from Stamford, Connecticut to hang out with her 3 days a week. And while she was in school, I would sit at a coffee shop and just go through the NASM book, taught myself whatever I needed to learn, took the NASM test to certify. I think it was March, April, May of that year. So it took me about 2 months to get through the book. And then once I get certified, I had known that the reputation of Equinox at that point was pretty solid. I knew that they were one of the more lucrative gyms that had paid the most money to their trainer. So I applied there and got hired. I also was aware of their EFTI program, which I thought was kind of cool to get another 150 hours of education for free, basically paid for by
Yeah.
them. So I took that leap. And that was like my first professional gym job. In the first 3 months, I'm sure Cooper can tell you, you wear a fancy little blue shirt, which makes you
Yeah, you do.
which distinguishes you from a trainer, like a full-time trainer who wears a black shirt versus a floor trainer who wears the blue shirt, which basically means like you're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yep.
That's where you were rolling up eucalyptus towels and handing them to members on the treadmills. You were having conversations with folks on the floor. I already had the people skills because I had a big boy job at that point. So I knew how to interface with people and I knew how to interface with people with money because that was the area that I lived in. Jen, who lives
Hmm.
in Greenwich, understands that. The clientele there was very, very high end. We're talking high net worth. We're talking, wives of husbands who were making 7, 8 figures. So that was the kind of environment that I was thrown in. And I spoke that language because I lived in that world, even though I kind of already started to transition to looking like a criminal with all the tattoos and all the piercings. They had kind of found me compelling and took me seriously because I knew how to communicate with them. And more so, I didn't let them run the conversation. I was the subject matter expert. I commanded authority. I didn't give a shit about how much money they made or who their husbands were. I spoke knowing what I knew with conviction.
Hmm.
At that point, knowing very little. But that's what set me apart from the rest. And within 6 months, I was in the top five grossing trainers there. And then after a year, I realized that I can take those clients on my own. And I started going house to house, training those individuals in their home gyms for my own pricing structure.
Yeah, cool. And I guess like give me a little bit of a snapshot, of as far as like what Equinox was kind of like in a day to day, and getting to know that general population clientele that primarily works out there.
So back then, I didn't, I was like any other trainer. It was essentially a 60-minute appointment
Hmm.
at which I was their girlfriend for 60 minutes. We did a little bit of stretching on the table, which I was not qualified to do. We did some foam rolling and some stretching on the floor. And then she was explained. I say she because most of my clients were women and they still are. They were explained what their workout was going to be, and we were off and running. I was essentially a rep accountant. And in the interim, in the in between sets, we chatted, which is what a
Hmm.
lot of, I think, personal trainers do. If I can go back and do it all over again, it would have been a lot different. And
Sure.
what I would have done differently is I would have taken some of that time to really assess what that individual's goal was, and got clear on what that goal was. And then I would have taken some time to educate in between sets on lifestyle factors like nutrition, like stress management, like sleep, like the importance of hydration and steps and cardio and all this other stuff. So I would have been a lot more interactive as opposed to just being a buddy of theirs for 60 minutes. But again, at some point, like you can't just talk science constantly, and you can't just try to, be this delivery of information. Like you do have to kind of be their friend and be buddy buddy. That is part of the game that we're playing as coaches and trainers, is we are
Totally.
building rapport and keeping rapport, because if our clients like us, they will probably trust us and they will probably pay us longer. So that was the day to day there was, and I was hungry at that point, man. I was doing 5 a.m. sessions. I was doing
Hmm.
8 p.m. sessions on
Yeah.
Fridays. I was doing 5 a.m. sessions on Saturday mornings. I still had a relatively big appetite to party back then. So, and they knew I was always very transparent with all my clients. Like, yep, went out last night. I was in the city till 4. Probably did my
And I'm
last.
here now at 5.
This is what you're getting, and I'm still going to show up for you because you paid me. And I always took that seriously. I never missed work ever. Maybe once, I think, because the train wasn't running or something. But
Mm,
yeah, I was a degenerate, but I was a very functioning degenerate, and I cared. And that's, I
yeah.
think, what set me apart from a lot of the other degenerates who didn't care.
Right. Yeah, and it is the at least because I was at Equinox location in Chicago, and I mean, I don't know if this is like this at other companies, and I can only speak from my experience, but there was a lot of degeneracy going on at these gyms, man.
There
And
was.
like, like hearing like the stories from like the New York locations was always like, what? Like this is like not what I expected in a working environment, which I think is hilarious because I think that's like what attracts the clientele that institution attracts. You know what I mean? It's very bold, it's very forward, and it's like unapologetic and about like, whatever lifestyle might be coming into the gym that day, whether it be the trainer or the client. Um, and
Yep.
it was, yeah, wild times, man. Do you remember
Well,
it fondly?
listen, like half my clients were the wives or other finance people, and I had lived that Wolf of Wall Street life long enough, so like I know what they're doing.
Yeah.
There were the couple of guys I did train would be rolling off the train from New York back to Connecticut just at the same time I was. And
Hmm.
half the time I'm in there with a key showering while they're like in the locker room. And I can hear, I know what's going on. I'm not stupid. I'm 29 years old or 27 years old at that point. So, like,
Yeah.
I was on the same page as these people. And, like, fitness to them was maintaining a level of status. It was like I had a
Yes.
trainer. I'm at this elite gym. I'm paying this amount of money. It wasn't anything other than an aesthetic pursuit, which, whatever, I'm
Hmm.
not going to knock that. Vanity is
Yeah.
important. It's why we have jobs, half of us, if not more of us. Like, very few people give a shit about performance or VO2 max or their jump height or their speed or their strength. Most people
Yeah.
just want to be fuckable, and most people want to stand out aesthetically so that they can be attractive to people, whether that be internally motivated, whether that's trauma motivated, who cares? I'm not there to assess why. I'm there to get them to where they want to go. So I
Hmm.
think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they don't relate to their clients very well, and they don't
Yeah.
ask them good enough questions. And if I, like I said, if I can go back and do it all over again, I would have gotten very crystal clear about what it is that we're trying to achieve in the near term and
Hmm.
how we do that very precisely so that the person that's paying me money is getting the best possible outcome. And
Hmm.
then that way, once they trust you and they see that you were helping them produce a result, it's the concept of sell them what they want and then give them what they need over time. Because once they're in your ecosystem and once they have your ear and or you have their ear and they trust you, they will
Hmm.
follow you into hell. And
Yeah. It's true.
I have diehards to this day that will still like people from New York that I used to work with back then that are still friends of mine that will text me and ask me questions about like whatever they see on the internet, and they still confide in me because they know that I'm no bullshit. So you have to become that type of a coach and that type of a trainer, and that takes having not only the skill set and the technical savvy, but also being able to apply it in a replicable way, client over client over client, to see what works and to see what doesn't. And
Hmm.
I've had to change my mind on a lot of stuff over the last 15 years.
Yeah. I'd be curious, you know, first thing I want to start with is kind of defining this idea of Gen Pop because obviously that can be so many different things. There's so many different goals, and you brought up a few times you wish you were able to dig into someone's goal better. Um, so I want to start there, right? Like triangulate me around like When we're saying Gen Pop, what is the snapshot of that from your perspective at this moment in time?
Mr. and Mrs. Jones, who's not an athlete.
Hmm.
They don't identify as an athlete. They don't have athletic endeavors or pursuits. And I would even consider like the guy who plays softball on Saturdays or the chick who plays pickleball a couple of times a week. These are not athletes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Athletes have very specific athletic pursuits and goals, whether that be some type of a strength sport, whether that be some type of formal, very athletic sport or endeavor or competition that requires a lot of intention.
yep.
Gen Pop to me is somebody who has a very basic internal health, external body composition goal that can be solved almost exclusively with nutrition and fitness.
Okay, beautiful. No, I think that's super helpful. Because it is so gray at times for people that I think that that definition sets us up, to understand the conversation a little better as we go. Now, tell me some more things that, you wish you'd done better over time in the last 15 years. You brought that up and I am very curious what those would be.
So the goal setting part was everything, and I still I fight with that to this day to some degree because I it's not just about getting the initial communication of what the goal is and being very crystal clear about one definitive focal point. It's the concept of trying to chase two rabbits simultaneously. Like a lot of people want
Mm,
this idea of like, I want to get stronger, but I also want to lose fat, but I also want to be faster, but I also want to be able to hurt less. And I also want to be able to eat however much. It's like, okay, like let's pick one thing at a time because a lot of these things are diverging. So the crystal clear goal is important because it allows there to be very specific action steps that can be taken that are measurable, that can be then assessed whether they're working or not. And then also the reevaluation of that goal periodically. And I think that's the thing that I started to suck at because you get comfortable. Whether you're a
mm,
coach online like I am now, whether you're a trainer, if somebody's paying you routinely for 2 sessions a week, you just become their buddy. And
yeah,
you see their ups and downs with their family and you see their ups and downs with their career and you kind of like navigate their life with them, but you never really stop after a while to like ask them like how are you really doing, how is this relationship serving you, what else can I be helping you with, and what direction are we still going in. And I
hmm,
think that reassessment needs to happen really every 60 to 90 days.
mm. It's
I
a higher
really,
frequency than I would expect.
yeah, because people have squirrel brain now. They're exposed to a lot of shit on the internet. And whether it's the latest peptide or the latest toxic food that we're supposed to avoid or the hottest new workout trend, like they're peeking, they're paying attention, they're looking at this stuff. And if we don't stay up on the fads, then we don't know how to communicate whether the fads are appropriate to people or not. And we don't know how to help navigate them around those things. And it's hard because people lose their focus due to all of these shiny objects that exist. And it's our job to keep our clients focused because it allows our job to be easier. If our clients are trying to accomplish 30 different things at one time, we don't know what the fuck to give them.
Yeah,
And then we're lost. And then we look like shit because we don't actually have any measurable objectives to give them. And then we don't know what's working either. It would be like somebody walking into a hormone replacement clinic without ever assessing any of their nutritional behaviors or any of their other lifestyle variables and then just getting 7 different compounds prescribed to them and then
yeah,
immediately injecting themselves with all 7. And like, how do you know which one worked or which one
yeah,
didn't work or which one was necessary, which one was not necessary? So one tool for one specific task at one specific time is how we need to be able to address this career,
yeah,
especially with Gen Pop. With athletes, it becomes a little bit more granular or less granular because athletes are generally jacks of more trades in general.
hmm, hmm,
And they do need speed and they do need power and they do need recovery. So they're going to be taking from all these different buckets. But athletes also have a much greater why than Gen
sure,
Pop does. Athletes also usually, in generally speaking, depending, especially if they're younger, they have less resistance elsewhere. They have less friction in their life to get these
yeah,
things done. Whereas our
yeah,
Gen Pop clients who have kids and businesses and job stress and financial stress and internal traumas, we have to be able to take all that stuff into account and navigate that stuff with them and then manage expectations along the way because life ebbs and flows and their compliance is going to ebb and flow. And we have to be able to allow them to kind of suck for a little while when shit's hard and
Yeah.
take their foot off the gas and help them be okay with that. And then
Yeah.
when there's an open runway of opportunity, let's hammer pedal down and see what you're
Yeah.
truly capable of.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And so how do you, I guess, you talk about the lizard brain kind of here, and the people are coming in and like, oh, well, I want to be running a marathon and doing a powerlifting competition, and I want to, be, as you put it, extremely fuckable, and like all these different things going on at once. And it's like, how do you focus them? How do you get to the right answer? Because, clearly there's going to be an emergent rank order there. So how do you pick right?
So first of all, there's no right or wrong. It's what's
Hmm.
appropriate and what's doable at the time.
Okay.
And then lead them. Like people are sheep. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry guys. If that offends anybody, then I'm the wrong person to be listening to. But I have a pretty low standard for humanity at this point. I've been doing this job for too long. You will get there eventually someday.
Me too,
You will
man.
be as cynical and as calloused as I am. If the
Yeah. Yeah.
longer
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
spend in
bro.
the fitness industry, the more gray hairs on the side of your head you'll have, the less hair you'll have here, and the more back to the basics you will believe all of this stuff is. But
Yes.
I basically just give people four options now.
Okay.
You have the
Yeah.
opportunity to choose one of four things. It's either fat loss or muscle gain or performance enhancement, and within performance enhancement there's some subsets,
Hmm.
or maintenance slash refinement.
Hmm.
And I specifically within those four categories define what those parameters are now going to be.
Yeah. Tell me 'em.
So for fat loss, calorie deficit is king. Like
Yep.
you are not losing fat unless you're in a deficit. How do you achieve a deficit? By either eating less or moving more, or a combination of
Hmm.
the two. So that's it.
Hmm.
Then within those, obviously, there's specific parameters based on calorie and macronutrient targets, activity levels, step counts, cardio goals, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
For muscle gain, the number one factor for muscle gain is mechanical tension. Like without
Hmm.
tension, you are not going to build muscle. So what is the subset of that? Well, it's training intensity, training volume, recovery. Part of the recovery equation is, are you eating adequate amounts of protein? Are you getting in enough calories to be able to maintain weight, but also give your body enough energy to go into a gym session and give it your best?
Yep.
For performance, it's going to be depending on what the performance target is. If it's a speed goal, okay, what is the training required to increase speed? What is the recovery component? What are the nutritional components to back up that goal? For refinement and maintenance, it's knowing that you're probably going to teeter totter 3 to 5 pounds around the same weight.
Yep.
There's not going to be any meaningful benefit or change or noticeable change or improvement in body composition, but you can work on a variety of things. It could be your gut health can be becoming more of a focus. It could be your blood markers that weren't great on your last blood work, and we'll see what we
Mhm.
can do there. It could be your relationship with food. It could be your body image. So those are psychological goals you can have. It could be just refining your meal prep systems and your meal routine so that you're always eating about the same 6 to 8 things on a rotating 3 to 5 meal fashion to get bulletproof foundational with it. So when you're that specific with stuff, now they have less of the broad
Yeah.
spectrum view. They have a
Yeah.
very
Batman. Like,
like now we know
I'm,
exactly what I have to do. So I know what
yeah.
my coach is going to deliver to me, and I know what my coach expects of me. Now there's no more disconnect that exists.
Beautiful.
I think a
Okay. And
question came in there from Aiden,
yeah, sure. So yeah, we can,
and I think it was in relation to goal setting. So I didn't get a
let me
chance to
take a
read all
look.
of it.
Yeah, so Morgan shot me over a summarized version. Many Gen Pop clients have vague aesthetic or well-being goals, but their lifestyles don't support achieving them. How do you help clarify expectations and bridge the gap when real progress would require lifestyle changes they may not be ready to make?
So this is expectation management 101, and I
Hmm.
love expectation management because
Yeah, dive in.
I'm going to go right for the jugular with people on this. If you tell me you want X but you're not willing to do Y, then take X off the table completely. Now,
Hmm.
I know a lot of coaches are afraid to have that conversation because it almost makes them now obsolete. It's like, well, if I can't placate to this person's expectations or their goals, and I know they won't do what is required, then they're not going to hire me.
Right.
Well, you can't be dishonest with people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is where we have to be a little bit diplomatic and play a game. I would much rather have somebody pay me initially let's say they sign up for whatever service they think they're getting, and spend about a month assessing what their level of involvement in the process is going to possibly be. Because you don't really know. Because a lot of people, like I had a conversation with a guy yesterday. Um, there's always two types of clients. There's the clients that know jack shit that are just going to sit there and listen to everything you say. And then there's the client who knows way more than you do because they've done it all and they've worked with trainers and they wear a heart rate strap when they go to sleep and they wear an aura ring and they have their Whoop bracelet on and they got 97 pieces of data coming in. Yet when they
Yeah.
look at them, it's like, well, why are you still fat? So like I would almost rather get the greenhorn who knows jack shit, who's willing to listen,
Yes. Yes.
versus the person on this side of the table who's the one doing all the talking. Well, it's like if you know all this stuff, then why don't you help me?
Hmm.
Or shut the fuck up and listen to what I have to say. You have
Yeah.
two options. Now, when you're operating from a place of scarcity because you're not making enough money,
Hmm.
both clients look just as attractive. You're willing to put up with this guy's bullshit because you need the money, and you're happy to work with this person because you get to flex your intellectual muscles, but you don't have a choice. You have to take both people because you need the money. And we all have been in the place where
Yeah.
money is tight. This is your passion, but you're working three other jobs to pay your rent and put food on your dog's bowl and
It's one
everything
of the hardest
else.
places to be. Yep.
It
Yep.
sucks, but like you have to go through that. Like I went from making six figures in my early 20s to making $8 an hour at Equinox for my first few months before I had a client. Like, trust
Yeah.
me, you will make changes in your life to adapt to whatever hardship you have in
Yeah.
front of you. And if you don't, this is the wrong industry for you because it's going to be feast or famine for the rest of your career.
Hmm.
So it's expectation management at its finest. If somebody tells you I want to look like X, and they show you a
Hmm.
picture of a person who's let's say it's a woman who's 20% body fat, and the client that's standing in front of you is a woman who's 35% body fat. It's
Hmm.
your job as a coach, as a trainer, to lay out the plan as if it were to be perfectly followed. Best case scenario, show her what that plan is going to be and ask her what on this list is doable, what on this list is not doable for you. And then based on what's not
Yeah.
doable for her, start to decrease her expectations in a reasonable fashion. It's like, well, I
Yeah.
won't meal prep my food. Okay. So if you don't want to meal prep your food, will you pay somebody else to do it for you and get a meal prep service? Yes. Okay. So that problem is solved.
Mm.
Are you willing to then track the food that you're eating? No. Okay. So are you willing to understand now that if you don't want to apply precise precision to this food tracking aspect of things,
Hmm.
are you okay with maybe not being the 20% woman, but you're probably going to be somewhere around 25 to 28? Well, why? But she doesn't track her food. Well, she doesn't track her food because she's been lean her whole life. She's never been 35% body fat. You have a lot of weight to lose that she never had. So that's why she looks like she does, and that's why you look like you do. Does that make sense? And it's okay, guys. Like I know like that sounds like a rough conversation to have, but like I had a woman start with me yesterday who's a coach and a trainer herself. She's 244 pounds. So, like obese by every standard.
Hmm.
And she was like, well, isn't this, I assigned her a cardio goal, which was egregiously higher than, oh, this is what it was. I gave her 120 minutes of zone 2, 3 a week. She's like, well, can I do more? I said, why would you do more when what you're doing is zero right now? You're doing
Yeah.
no cardio now. Well, she's like, but I'm taking 10 to 15,000 steps. I said, ma'am, that's not cardio for you anymore.
Yeah.
It might have been when you first started. It is no longer doing that for you anymore. So you're not doing any cardio. You may be very active, which is phenomenal. It's better than sitting on your ass, but that's not cardiovascularly strenuous on you anymore.
Mm.
And I
Yep.
spoke to her like that, understanding that she's a fitness professional. So I'm going to treat her with a higher standard than a Gen Pop person who doesn't know these things. But you need to explain this stuff as if they were 3 years old and they fucking knew nothing. And it's
Right.
okay to be direct. It's okay to say, hey, listen, you are fat. You are fat for
Yeah.
a specific reason. If you want to be less fat, you can only get down to a certain point without precision. And after a certain point, it will
Yeah.
require more precision if you want more leanness. If that is something that you are unwilling to accommodate to, then you have to expect that you won't be as lean as you want to be. Cool or not cool? If it's not cool, then you have a psychological problem that I'm not equipped to handle.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
know who you can serve and know who you can't serve.
Yeah, because at that point it's almost like disordered thinking, right? Because something is clearly telling you that you're going to get there without the realities of physics, chemistry, and biology, right? And involved with it. So I'm curious, like how how frequently do you feel like you run into that? Because I feel like from my perspective, everyone who's failed for these goals, right? And in the way you've defined general population, the people that I've worked with from the general population, um, it feels to me like they are often all failing for the same reason at some crux where there is that, disordered thinking. What's like the strategy to help them overcome that? And have you like had any success stories where someone was just beating their head against the wall and eventually came to the conclusion that they needed to do it right?
Most people are not detail oriented, at
Okay.
least when it comes to nutrition and training. They're
Agree with
detail
that.
oriented in other parts of their life, but they're obviously good at other parts of their life because those parts of their life are wildly important and they have incentive to show up there.
Yeah.
Children, jobs, like you can't not be a good parent or at least a present parent because you're going to lose your kids. You can't not be good at your job because that your income depends on it. But the one place where it's optional to be detail oriented and to be consistent is with yourself because you more people that often than not will put themselves last.
Hmm.
Whether that be because they're moms and that's their identity, whether that be because their parents taught them to not be selfish, whatever it is, there's a million and one reasons for it. But if we don't have data on your behavior and you were unwilling to track data on your behavior, then we don't know what to change and why. And that has to become explicitly clear to anybody who has any type of a tangible, significant body composition goal. I'm not talking about the 350-pound woman who doesn't move and eats nothing but fast food. That's an easy
Hmm.
case. That is the arguably one of the easiest cases you can give me. Because that person,
Hmm.
I'm not going to have them track anything outside of baby steps.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to tell her,
Start
eat
there.
whatever
Yeah.
the fuck you want to eat now, but install these few things. So at each meal, have 35 grams of lean protein, have a fruit or a vegetable. We're going to call that good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Well,
better
and
than
it,
what
and
she
it
is
is.
doing.
That's like 1,000 times better, probably, right? Like
Right.
that
You
one
know,
small thing. Yeah.
you're taking 2,000 steps on average. Let's get it up to four over the next couple of weeks. Like we're not moving mountains here.
Yeah.
The it's dicier as the person is more refined and is already engaged in some of these behaviors, right?
Mm.
The person that goes to F45 5 days a week, the person who eats clean, the person who's been in and out of whatever diet, the person who's exploring peptide and hormone replacement therapy. Those people have their finger on the pulse of the industry and they're following information and content from other creators in the industry. They just may not have found us, the credible ones, the people who actually have real
Right.
information. They're finding the Dr. Oz's and the Gary Breckas and the carnivore MDs. That's who they're paying attention to, the Hubermans and the Atias. That's where they're getting their information from. So they
Yep.
believe that they're in the category of being able to now optimize their well-being when they haven't even really mastered the basics yet. Our job is to bring everybody back down to earth on a level playing field and really assess what they're good at, what they're consistent with, and where their blind spots are. And
Hmm.
until you illuminate a lot of these things for them, they have no clue. Like the same example I'll give you of the guy that I was talking to yesterday. He said so many profound, amazing, science-based things. He's talking like he's been a professional in the fitness industry for 20 years. Sends me a picture of his body composition this morning so I can figure out his calories and macronutrient targets.
Hmm.
And he looks about as average as they come. So I sent him a text message. I said, "Hey, am I allowed to be frank with you?" He's like, "Yeah, absolutely." I said, "You said a lot yesterday that made me think that you were further along the road than you were. The picture you sent me this morning showed me otherwise." He said, "Dude, nobody's ever been that honest with me." He said, "I've went through four different coaches and all of them have praised me for what I've done." I said, "You may be driving really fast. You're just not going in the right direction."
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Are you somebody who's spent any significant amount of time, and I mean 3 months or more, actually weighing and measuring your food?" "Yes." I said, "Are you good at it?" He said, "I do leave some things out." I said, "Well, that's not going to happen anymore." So guys,
Yeah, man.
like, don't be afraid to be honest with people. Don't be a dick. Find
Hmm.
your own language, like practice, like and don't like you're going to lose some clients here and there. I've lost plenty across my career. There's been
Yeah.
times where I've been in a bad
Turnover.
headspace. I've been
Every
abrasive with people. I was in a shitty mood and I got a text message from somebody that I couldn't really quite process at the time, and I've lost them. But we're human, we're flawed, just like all of our clients are. We do know better and we should be more professional, but sometimes humanity is humanity and it is what it is. So it's okay to be honest and direct. It's okay to find your own language with them. But the more honest and direct you are, the better the client compliance potential is going to be. I promise you that.
okay, yeah, and I'm curious about, your use of language in a lot of these cases, and like fostering that kind of directness that is, I think, very important regardless of what demographic you work with. What goes into that, and how do you sort of structure those moments where you have to have a crucial conversation?
As far as what their expectations are,
Their expectations, but just like how are you approaching this? You know what I mean? How do you know when it's time to be direct, and how do you know like what, sort of language to is gonna be all right to get to go with?
well, I'm lucky because I'm an online coach and my content has helped me self-select my audience. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
like the people that follow
Yep.
me can probably tolerate some directness because I give that style of communication every day.
Totally do. Yeah.
I normally I'm probably exchanging a few voice notes with people in initial levels of conversation. I'm probably getting on the phone with them for some period of time. Like I don't sell coaching right off the bat. I'm going to probably spend some time exploring the individual and what they are or who they are and what they need before I really even pitch them anything. Because some people are a waste of our time. Some people
Hmm.
don't give a shit. Some people will never comply. Some people will never do what we ask them to do. And at that point, I don't care how poor you are. I don't want to expend that level of mental gymnastics with somebody.
Yeah.
For most, but definitely take your time to do your due diligence on somebody. And that doesn't mean like schedule 6 calls with them, but at least have one conversation with somebody. Not a text
Totally.
exchange. Get on the phone, hear their demeanor, understand their tone of voice, get a feel for who they are as a person. The older you are, the more you've been around the block, the faster you'll be able to assess people and what they're willing to do, what they're not willing to do, what type of style they're going to respond to, what type of style they're not going to respond to, and then you can kind of become a chameleon. And
Hmm.
and I'm not going to change who I am. I may certainly soften it up for some people because they're in a trying time of their life. But at some point, if you're north of 35 and you're still walking around with a bunch of trauma and baggage and you haven't worked with a therapist, I'm not going to be your therapist.
Yeah.
You hired me for nutrition and fitness expertise, and you hired me for a specific goal, which is body comp related and not mental health related. That's not my responsibility. I will coddle and entertain some mental health aspects of this journey, but if it's getting to a point where your mental health is disrupting your ability to comply, you need a therapist, and I'm going to recommend that that's what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But money better spent probably too at that
Absolutely. As
point.
Sean was asking about assessments that you find clients expect in the beginning are important to offer. I don't have access to InBody, and I think FMS is a joke, to be quite honest with you. And I'm from the Perform Better camp because that's where I got a lot of my information from when I first started. I'd like to understand people's basic perception of what they know or what they don't know. So I'll ask them questions like, have you ever tracked your food before and actually weighed and measured it? What's your experience inside a gym? Have you actually gone into a public gym facility on your own and understand how to use the equipment? I'll ask those basic questions. I don't need to assess their valgus knee or, their ability to extend their thoracic spine. I don't give a fuck. Neither do they. And knowing that information isn't going to change the plan that I give them because they're probably still going to get a pulling pattern. They're probably still going to get a squatting or a hinging pattern. Am I going to modify that based on a couple of videos that I see of how bad they suck at it? Absolutely. But I'm not going to put them through the ringer and be like, can you do a push up? And like, because anybody can do a push up depending on how high of an elevation they're doing it off of. Right? They're going to
Yep.
do it off of a Smith machine. They're going to do it off of a wall. They're going to do it off the floor. They're going to do some variation of a push up. We'll
And
figure.
why the fuck am I gonna give it to someone who I know can't? It's
Right.
just
And
like
I'm not,
embarrassing at that point. Like,
yeah, I think putting them through like a test physically it's what it's going to do to them. The type A people are going to run with it in the wrong direction, be like, well, I could do this better. The type B people are going to be so distraught of how bad they suck at stuff that they're going to be discouraged from probably even starting. So I think the assessment needs to be more of a conversation about what have you done? What are you willing to do? What do you think you know? What do you not know? Do these words even sound familiar to you if I say them out loud, like the verbiage of fitness and nutrition? If people are just so blind to these things, then just assume that they are absolute novice beginners. They don't know what a protein is. They've never seen a lat pull down machine. They have 10-pound pink dumbbells in their apartment, and that's their exposure to fitness. And at that point, again, it's a greenhorn, and it's the initial month of working with anybody is the figure it out phase. We
Yeah.
don't know one another. We don't know what you're doing. We don't know what your life is like. Just assume that the first month is going to be a disaster in which nothing occurs.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Like a lot of activity will happen. Maybe some of it will be the stuff that makes them closer to their goal. Probably not though, with a true beginner like you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, but it does, but that is where the habits form, right? If you don't do the initial like shoveling of shit, like you can't see the field that you're playing on yet. So
Yep.
let's assume now that like we're out of the shit shoveling phase and someone has bought in and this is no longer like bullshit world, right? We are like they're training, they're on their path. Like now what does the relationship look like and what has it evolved into?
Well, now we're probably actually getting some work done. Now
Hmm.
we're getting an exchange of information and data. So that person, my clients are all tracking their food. Like I don't
Yeah.
care where you stand on that as a coach.
Yep.
If you don't know how much your clients are eating and they have body composition goals, good luck. Like
Yeah.
you're guessing just like they've been guessing for the last 20 years. I need to see videos of them training. And that is going to be a wide array. There's going to be the person who puts the camera at their feet and you see absolutely nothing. And then there's going to be
Yeah.
the person who puts the camera on a surface and the camera falls down halfway. And there's the people that are going to be unwilling to send you videos because they're too embarrassed of how fat they are or the fact that they're taking up space in a public facility in which they're embarrassed to be in. There's a million and one resistance points. But to
Yes.
me, the way that I think about it is I'm like, remember COVID? Remember when you had to send your doctor videos of your butthole because you were concerned about the hemorrhoids that you had? But you were really concerned about those hemorrhoids, so you didn't mind pulling down your trow and sending them a video of your butthole, and you did it anyway, right? That's the kind of data I need, man. I don't need videos of your butthole, but I do need videos of your lap pull down because if you don't know how to do it, I can fix it and
Yeah.
you can fix it. And all
Yeah.
it takes is seeing it once or twice.
Yeah.
So it's setting that expectation and that standard for this is the type of information I need from you, and this is what you're going to get from me in return. And it's going to be an open flow of information back and forth. And that's how this relationship is going to evolve. Because as I see more and more of you and what you do and what you don't do, I can make recommendations on how to fill in certain gaps. But if I don't get anything from you and I just give you blanket bullshit advice, which anybody can give you in passing, I don't care how much you're paying me. Without that flow of data, I'm just as lost as you have been for the last 20 years.
100%. And you could even give them a video of the exercise and they'll go do wrong,
Oh, I mean,
and like,
sure. I have a library of demo videos. And by the way, guys, if you're planning to ever coach online and not be in person, start filming your own workouts, cut those clips into 3 rep videos and save them in your phone. Upgrade your phone plan to whatever the biggest level of cloud storage is. It's worth the
it's a write off.
$7 you pay a month. And save all those videos in a demo folder. And now instead of having to explain yourself incessantly, you can go click, 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 send them a video. Does this make sense or do you need more clarity? It
Yep.
can become that easy. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. And then if you ever work with an app, now you have your own proprietary information you can load into it. So now instead of using stock footage of stuff, you have your own. That makes
Hmm.
things a little bit more personal, which is nice. So just a little tip there.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm curious too, like about the actual like weight room training you're prescribing, and like how do you sort of build plans? How do you get the periodization involved? Like, what does it look like for these people? You know what I mean? Because
Period,
obviously you're
period, period. What? All right.
Hit
So
me with it.
Gen Pop.
Yep.
Again, what is the goal? Fat loss? They can fucking do anything. I don't give a shit because what they do in the gym
Yeah.
is irrelevant unless it's cardio. Now it's relevant. I've changed my stance wildly on this. I came from the camp of like lifting weights. Yeah, everybody needs to be doing it and it grows muscle and muscle burns fat. No, the fuck it doesn't, not in the near term.
Yep.
Like,
Totally agree.
throw that rhetoric out the window. If you have a person who is under muscled and over fat, they are significantly burning less calories than the person who is over muscled and under fat.
Hmm.
Period, point blank. They are not going to grow any appreciable amount of muscle to change their BMR significantly, to drive the fat loss train, even in the next 2 years. Maybe in
Yeah.
the next 5 to 10, as they incrementally lose fat and incrementally build muscle, they'll put themselves into a better metabolic place. But in the near term, to tell a fat person to prioritize weightlifting is like telling a poor person to prioritize spending money. It's just not calorically expensive enough. I'm not saying don't lift
Yeah.
weights with a fat person, but do they
Yep.
need to be lifting 5 times a week? No, that's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time. They're not going to see anything happen whatsoever. I mean, I had women that were 40% body fat, and I was like, yeah, 2 leg days, two upper body days, no cardio, just steps. And guess what? They all got fatter. What do I do
Yeah.
now? I take that same fat woman, I give her 2 days, one full body at the front end of the week, one full body at the back end of the week, minimum 8K step count every single day, if not higher, minimum 8K step count, and then as much fucking cardio as you can handle that you can make time for.
Yeah.
Obviously, while controlling their nutrition. As far as like the movements that they're doing, I prescribe to push, pull, hinge, lunge, squat,
Yeah.
like some variation of that. If it the days per week is going to determine what I give them as far as a plan, but everything is hypertrophy, progressive overload based training. I'm not periodizing anything. I'm not changing movements on people. Now, with some of my more advanced people that have been with me for a long time, that I know have training acumen, that have experience, that are consistent, I'll give them fresher challenges and fresher workouts just to give them some freshening up of their moves. But if you're a Mrs. Jones coming at me with no experience and the only thing you've ever done is Orange Theory, you are going to learn how to lift weights on your fucking own. Like, I expect you to get a gym membership. If you don't,
Yep.
I mean, obviously, like, if you live in bumfuck and you're an hour away from any gym, I'm not going to put that on you, but at least have dumbbells up to 50 pounds in your apartment or in your house. Have a suspension trainer like a TRX or a jungle gym.
Yep.
Have some rubber bands with handles on them that you can affix to something that's stable. Have an adjustable bench. Like, give yourself a chance. If you got a Bosu ball and 10-pound dumbbells, good fucking luck getting anything done. It's not going to happen. I'm
Yeah. No,
sorry.
never will.
You're not building muscle. You're not building strength. You could be the fattest fuck on the planet and you still wouldn't get far with that.
No.
Um, so have some basic requirements for equipment. There's a Planet Fitness within a half hour of most locations where people live in that suffices and does 99% of the job we need.
Yep.
So I love machine-based work.
Yep.
The
Yeah. It's
reason
so
why
simple. Yeah.
it reduces risk of injury, it re it requires less lifting proficiency. It
Hmm.
provides more external stability, which we know is wonderful for hypertrophy. And it gives people the chance to load more significantly without having the mental gymnastics of loading a barbell or having to carry dumbbells, which we know that's where most injuries will occur. It's the person picking up the 90-pound dumbbells off the rack, not deadlifting them, that gets them hurt. So by
Yep.
allowing them to use things like a Smith machine and cable machines and selectorized and plate loaded machines, yeah, there'll be a learning curve, but it's nowhere near the learning curve of trying to teach somebody how to use free weights. Or
It's especially difficult if they've never lifted before and you're
uh,
training them online. I'm like, if you want to do all that shit, you need better hire a fucking trainer in person.
yeah, I've told people like I could only get you so far if you're super novice, but the learning curve gets accelerated with a gym environment that has machinery because again, people will start to feel those muscles. They can progressively overload them a lot easier. The risk of injury is down. I don't think free weights are a bad thing. I mean, look, there's amazing physiques built from all the way up to the 90s and 2000s do using nothing but barbells and dumbbells. But again,
Yeah.
look at the people using those pieces of equipment. They were highly versed, highly focused, drug-fueled athletes
Yeah.
who that was their only job in life. My first entry into fitness was dumbbells and barbells too, but I was 15 years old. I got
Yeah.
hurt constantly because I ego
Yep.
lifted, and I didn't learn anything about tension or control until I was in my late 20s. I had gone through CrossFit several times. I was a CrossFit certified coach for years, which now I've completely fallen out of love with. It was the whole concept of functional versus unfunctional training. I'm sorry, but if you're training a person through a full range of motion, even with a machine, how is that not functional? So I certainly
Absolutely.
I have my gripes with the way that people train. I don't think you need to be changing programming every 8 to 12 weeks. I don't think you need to be giving them tempos outside of just telling them to slow down sometimes. Make it as simple as fucking possible. If you're doing 3 sets of something, 12
Yeah.
to 15 on the first one, 10 to 12 on the second set, 8 to 10 on the third set. Tell
Easy.
them that the expectation is the weight's going to go up, and because of that, you're going to get more fatigued, and then the reps are going to drop naturally because of it. That's it. Give them a 2.5 minute break in between sets if they need it. For upper body, give them a minute and a half. It doesn't need to be rocket science. Like I see so many. I've watched. I've had people send me PDFs of programs that their other coaches have given them, and I'm looking at these people who have zero idea of any of the verbiage in this or how what any of this means. And I'm like, did you follow this? They're like, yeah. I'm like, really? Like knowing you and what I know you know or don't know, I don't know how you
Yeah.
fucking I couldn't follow this. Like the Mark Carrolls of the world who are sitting there and like writing fucking bodybuilding workouts for chicks who just anybody can buy. Like you have to know your audience. Your audience knows nothing. Like if you actually think about how ridiculous the concept of a public gym is, it is a building that you buy an open membership to that has relatively sophisticated pieces of equipment in it that nobody teaches you how to use. And you just have free reign of this place.
Yeah.
You just walk in and
Come
you're
on
like,
in.
ooh, that thing does something. I'm going to go do that. And this thing does something else. And I'm going to go, like, nobody has a fucking clue. And everybody's terrified of being in there because they all don't want to look stupid, not realizing how dumb all of them look because nobody actually knows what they're doing inside of a gym outside of us. And every time I spend any
Yeah.
minute running on the treadmill upstairs in my gym and I just observe the gym floor, what do I see? I see shitty incomplete reps. I see no rest in between sets. I see no meaningful amounts of intensity or proximity to failure. I see no control of the load in any eccentric position whatsoever, or back to the starting point. Just cleaning up those little basics will start to get somebody from 0 to 90 like that.
Yes. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, it's especially interesting too because I think coaches put I don't even know like how to say this, but they put the things they like and the things that they want to be good at into other people's programming. And that like drives me like up the fucking wall because it's like, hey man, if the power clean was not something your 80-year-old grandmother client asked to do, why the fuck are we like shoehorning this in? Like, because she needs power. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, man, did she even say those fucking words to you ever in a sentence? Like, and do you not have any other options? You know what I mean? Like, it drives me
So
fucking nuts.
I will admit this, and I'll be very, very transparent with you. I give people training the way that I train, but I also consider myself to be advanced Gen Pop.
Oh yeah.
I don't have an athletic goal. I don't need to be powerful. I don't need to have speed. I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I'm wildly vain. I care more about my body composition than absolutely anything else.
Yep.
So I can relate to my clients. What do our clients want? They want to look like they lift. What
Yeah.
on whatever side of the spectrum that is. That's either very, very lean and very, very muscular, or kind of lean and kind of some muscle showing, or like the peakings of a little bit of muscle coming through.
Yeah.
So what do they have to solve? They have to solve the fat problem, getting it down low enough to see anything, and then they have to solve the muscle problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to grow any appreciable amount of muscle inside of an Orange Theory class.
No,
Why?
zero.
Because you're using sub-maximal weights, you're lifting them way too fast, you're not recovering, you're not going to any proximity of failure outside of just aerobic fatigue or anaerobic fatigue. And then you're sprinkling in a bunch of other shit that isn't measurable, that's not even considered to be actual measurable cardio whatsoever. And I'm going to shit on CrossFit for a second. It's the same
Please.
problem in that setting. Because even though people have like the 5x5 squat day, their range of motion is dog shit. They're not controlling the weight into the bottom or out of the bottom to go back up.
Yep.
There's no accessory work whatsoever. Not to mean that you need it, but like, let's be honest, 5 sets of squats one time every 2 weeks isn't going to get anybody enough volume to
No.
grow their glutes if that's their goal. So just none of this stuff makes any sense to me. And I think a lot of people bring their inherent bias and belief system into their coaching and into their training. I'm just
Hmm.
lucky that my bias and my belief system tends to match what my clients want.
Right. Which is like totally fine, totally fair game. I mean, I know that like I think it's like what you said though with building your audience, right? Like you know that you've got this certain type of people and you've got them in mass, and that if they're electing to like work with you, they are aligned, right? Like towards this because that's the quality of your social media. If you guys don't, follow Aram 4 weeks to the beach, but it who he is during this call is who he is on social media. I mean, and you're not hiding it. You know what I mean? Like, and in no way are you hiding who you are and how you take the approach. So it's like if someone opts into that, that's totally fine. I think like the issue I'm more so thinking about is like when people prescribe something that isn't necessarily like conducive to the person's goal, right? And just for the sake of like, them feeling smart or them feeling stronger, like as a coach, it's like they're basically stroking their own ego through their clients.
The
And
other thing
that's
I
what pisses me off.
it's wildly frustrating to watch, but then I think it's
Yeah,
also too if your clients trust you and believe you, they will do whatever you tell them to do.
they will.
So,
Yep.
and that's good or bad, depending on who the deliverer of that information is. To me, why overhaul and overcomplicate things when people can't even follow them routinely? So
Hmm.
I think by
Yep.
getting somebody to understand even something as simple scapular retraction, like when you're doing a seated row,
Yeah.
try not to jerk yourself back and understand that there's a difference between rowing with your hands overhand on the bar and shoulder width apart, which will stimulate the mid back muscles. And you don't have to get down to the granular level of like the rhomboids and the lower and mid track. Like nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like just
Yep.
tell them the middle of your back will start to feel better and good when you squeeze your shoulder blades together. This is how you can access that feeling. When you have your
Yep.
hands in a more neutral position, well, naturally, when you pull, your elbows will go lower. That will be a little bit more lat focused. The lats are these big strips of muscle on the side of your body. Usually, you won't feel them unless you have a very, very good mind muscle connection. Your grip isn't a focus of yours and you're not using too much bicep. You can eventually teach these things to people once you have them in your ecosystem. And I do encourage people to create cheat sheets for things like biomechanics, like
Yeah.
just simple shit like this is what the shoulder does. This is what the tricep does. This is what an anterior versus a rear delt is. Like
Mhm.
just giving people the basics of muscle anatomy and the basics of joint function
Yeah.
and then also having them practice that stuff inside the gym, understanding some of the verbiage of this stuff and some of the actual usage of the words, it starts to empower them to then understand what content makes sense for them to look at versus what not to look at. Because I have plenty of people that will be like, bring me like N1 education stuff, which I love. Like, I think calcium
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Jones doesn't need to worry about the iliac crest fibers of her fucking lats because she doesn't know where her lats are, and
They don't
she's
give a
not going.
fuck about that shit.
She
Yeah.
doesn't even know what happens when her elbow gets inside of 90 degrees, and now she's using a ton of bicep versus any lat whatsoever. So it's just that kind of stuff. Like, is Jeff Nippard's content great? Yeah. But is it useful for Gen Pop? Absolutely not. Like if
Yeah.
they have to have the level of discernment to understand that just because I start lifting like this, that I'm not going to immediately look like this. And just because the deliverer of that information looks a certain way and they're prescribing a certain style of training, I can't expect to look like that individual. It's the same thing as when people are like, well, that chick is super lean and and she's super muscular and all she does is Peloton. No, she doesn't. She lifts weights 3 or 4 days a week. She also happens to be a Peloton instructor. If you were to actually dig
Yeah.
into her history, you would understand that her training modality is completely different than what she sells you, but she has to keep this physique and facade going so that you keep buying Peloton classes.
Yep.
So it's that type of transparency that we as an industry fundamentally lack. And when we can just stop the bullshit and stop being afraid to communicate what we actually think and feel, as opposed to placating to the other coaches in our industry, like let's be very, very clear here, guys. You're selling coaching and training to end users. You're not selling it to other coaches. You're not a B2B business. You're a B2C business. Stop giving a shit what any other coach has to say about your content or your delivery of information. I don't give a fuck. Like if Lane Norton came into my comments section and started blasting me about something, I'd be like,
Oh
Lane,
fuck.
really, really cool that you took the time to do it. I don't care. I don't give a shit because you're not my client. Your opinion is awesome. Keep it to your fucking self. And nobody says shit about me and what I do because I have conviction. It works. And I can do it over and over again and keep showing you that it works. But if you
Hmm.
don't, and the problem with most coaches in general is they're afraid to deliver information like this because they themselves are not confident. They themselves have maybe not gotten enough people results to see that their systems work. But just understand, folks, the basics of this stuff it's always going to be a calorie deficit that drives fat loss. I don't give a shit what the menopause experts say. I don't give a shit about what the latest research in hormones say. The environment changes, the equation stays the same. It's still a deficit. With muscle growth, it's always going to be mechanical tension first, followed by some metabolic stress and some other things, but it's still going to be tension. It's still going to be proximity to failure that drives
Hmm.
the muscle. Power and speed is a different thing. Aerobic and anaerobic cardiovascular adaptations are another, but they're very much set in stone. How you get there is exactly the same way that you get there every single time, but you have to practice it enough to on your own clients, practice it on yourself, believe in it, and don't worry about what every other coach is doing because there's plenty of people that have no fucking clue what they're doing in this industry. And they're going to say what they're going to say, and they're going to maybe have larger followings than you and maybe make more money than you, but that doesn't make them an authority figure.
Yep. Amen to that, dude. Amen to that. I wanna transition into the you've brought it up a few times, but it's like the things that you do to kind of go the extra mile to make either something more personable, more relatable. You talked about, like a cheat sheet biomechanic, kind of thing. Like I want to talk about the client experience,
Mhm.
from that lens. So I don't know where you want to start, but please, you have the floor.
So consistent communication patterns, I think, are huge, especially for
Okay.
online work. In person,
Yeah.
apply it to both. If it's in person, like let's say you see somebody once a week, and that's generally your cadence with them, check in
Hmm.
on them one more time per week. So whether that
Yeah.
be putting it in your phone as a calendar appointment, whether it be having a spreadsheet of all your clients when they train, and then when you need to be contacting them, whether it be using a mass texting app, like I use an app called or a service called ClickSend. I'll
Mm-hmm.
type it into the
Hmm.
chat here. So it's a
Yeah.
paid for service. Basically, you just load a bunch of phone numbers into it. You can send out. It costs per text message, but whatever. It's business expense.
Sure.
But I think getting in front of people and having them see your name on their phone pop up does two things. It reminds them A, that you give a shit enough to send the message, and B, that there's some action that they should be taking on their end. It's like, oh, I have this guy or this girl that I work with. I remember the last conversation I had with them, and because I saw their name pop up on my phone, maybe I should go meal prep. It could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
Have some type of either weekly or bi-weekly email communication where you're doing a little bit of educating. And this is something I wish I did as an in-person coach. I did not have enough of their personal information or enough contact with them outside of my sessions. You need to be in these people's ear because it does two things. It builds rapport and solidifies rapport. But again, it also shows them that you're more than just a rep accountant. Like you care about their life, you care about their
Right.
sleep, you care about their movement, you care about their stress management, you give them tips for travel. Like just be in front of them and offer them. It doesn't have to be monumentally crazy, like literally a grocery list, which then you send them again 3 months from now because they fucking forgot it and it got buried in their email. Like I think the thing that we as coaches think is that like I wake up every single day at 4:45 to 5:15, somewhere around there. And the second I wake up, I'm immediately thinking nutrition fitness. Like that's where my brain goes. I'm trying to solve those problems. I'm trying to learn
Yeah.
about like that's where my like most people don't think like that. Most people, it's like, oh my God, I suck at my job. Oh my God, I'm a horrible parent. Oh my God, I said something to my wife last night. Like they don't think about these things like we do. So by
Yeah.
us being in front of them with some level of education, some level of communication, it gets them to start thinking about this stuff more often. And now we're going to have the opposite side of the coin, which is, well, I don't want to think about this stuff anymore. Quiet that resistance that or that objection that people give you. Like, I don't want to have to think about this is the reason why you have to think about it. I
Mm.
don't want to think about this is the reason why you gain weight. I don't want to have to think about this is the reason why you stop training. So when clients will approach you with that type of thing, like, I don't want to have to think about it, just do it for me, or just give me what I have to do you want to be a monkey that pays somebody for the rest of your life to solve this problem, or do you want to get the autonomy and the skill set to solve this problem eventually on your own? Because everybody needs to at some point graduate to a place where the only reason why they're using you is accountability and nothing else. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
Like, my service exists at the price that it exists at purely for accountability purposes only. Like, they know what they're
Yep.
doing. They could do it on their own, but why should they when it's cheap enough to not have to do it? Now, with personal training, obviously much different when you're spending 80 to $150 an hour, like, there's skin in the game, but also too, like, it's okay. You want clients to graduate. So that's part of the client
Yeah.
experience from an educational and outreach standpoint. Brand everything. If you have your own business name, put it on every fucking thing you could possibly find. T-shirts, hats, pens, notebooks, watermark on every single one of your emails. If you ever print out PDFs or create PDFs, put your logo on everything, become a brand. Stop being a side hustle. I cannot stress that enough. Like, this can either be a career that's wildly lucrative and can change the course of your life and can give you purpose forever, or it will be the thing that drives you crazy that you never fully step into. And most people end up on that side of the coin. They never
I totally
become
agree.
professionals in this industry. And because of that level of wishy-washiness, we don't get taken seriously. Like, if you really think about it, folks, we are the front line of healthcare. We're not nurses, we're not doctors. I understand that, but we are preventative care at its finest. And if we take that seriously and we communicate it seriously to our clients, we will finally become the authorities that we think in our heads we are. Otherwise, you're a fucking meathead who counts reps, and that's what your clients will think of you.
Yeah.
And it just comes down to just paying attention. Follow up is one of the things that coaches suck at the most because they just don't pay attention to it enough and they're overwhelmed by not managing their time well. So whatever your process is, whether it be a Google spreadsheet, whether it be literally pen and paper on the table in front of you, whether it be a checklist on your wall, but just make sure you're outreaching, make sure that you're keeping in touch with people, make sure that you have your people categorized as current clients, potential clients, and former clients, because former clients are still clients that may come back, and just have those people categorized so you can touch them at some point, whether it be, hey, everybody, Merry Christmas. You used to work with me. I still think about you. If you ever want to come back, here's a special, whatever it is. But
Sure.
don't lose touch until somebody says stop on a text message or says fuck off. They are still a potential person that might work with you at some point.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's really it.
I love it. I mean, I think you're very right that a lot of coaches never fully embody it. And I had a bodybuilder friend of mine who was kind of teetering, on that pro card level, and he just got this mantra in his head of like, I have to be full time. I cannot be part time anymore. If I want to be a pro, I have to be full time. And, he had to remove a lot of other things from his life. Like he had to sacrifice a certain degree of, you know, victimhood in a way, that felt very personal to him in that experience, like, of getting shortchanged by some of the judging and, so on and so forth. But like when he did and he locked in and everywhere in his life was geared around like making sure that bodybuilding was, the center of his life, ain't nobody could fucking argue the day he stepped on at the Tampa Pro that he was a fucking pro.
You
And
have to
I
you have to be obsessed with this shit.
yeah.
Like, if you want to be good at anything, if you want to rise, like, all the people that you look up to, like, pick two or three names right now of either coaches or trainers that you look up to.
Hmm.
Most of them are probably north of 40. Most of
Yeah.
them have probably been in the industry for 15 or 20 years at least. And most of them have stood the test of time and they've had they've had lulls in their career that you would not be able to stomach. Like I promise you. I mean, there's like
Yeah, man.
I didn't see a 5-figure month for 7, 8 years of my life from the time I started coaching to now. So like this idea of 10K months that is being talked about by the business coaching world, all this other bullshit that you see, I rolled fucking towels at Equinox for $8 an hour. It took me 6 months to build up a roster of clientele, which is
Hmm.
really relatively nothing. But again, it's because I was there at 5. It's because I was there at 8 p.m. on Fridays. It's because I took appointments that other coaches wouldn't take. And I
Yep.
did it while still having a social life. And I did it while having relationships. And I made it very clear that this is my priority. I want to be the best at this that I can possibly
Yeah.
be. And that's palpable. Your clients will feel that. Why? Because your clients are obsessed with something. They're obsessed with being the best mom. They're obsessed with being the best fence company owner, whatever the fuck it is. But like you have to match that energy. If you're just kind of kicking your feet and you got your hands in your pockets and your face down and you're waiting for the next meal to come, they know that. You're a bump on a log and they don't want to work with that type of fucking energy.
Fuck no.
And if you become true, like if you like, and I know the hard, like I maxed out 2 credit cards in the beginning of my career. I traveled to every single
Me
event. I
too.
went to every seminar. I started to follow people who I trusted and started paying them for one-on-one consults on the phone
Yep.
to do case studies with them about shit that I didn't understand. That's how I got connected to the best in the business. That's why I have fucking Alan Aragon's phone number. That's why I get to be friends with these people and ask them like I have Mike T. Nelson's phone number, and if I ever have a question about the craziest shit, he is my chat GPT. And the
Yeah.
reason why I have that type of access to people is because I platform them. I would do lives with them on Instagram. I would ask to be on their podcast. Ask for shit. Don't be afraid. Even if you're like, if you feel as though you're not quite there yet, it's that thinking that's keeping you at that level. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not saying like going like, hey, I need to be on your podcast. Like, give them a reason, obviously, and have
Yeah.
some type of relationship with them. But once you have a relationship with somebody who can help platform you, they'll be happy to do it if you ask, but they're probably too busy to think about offering it up to you. So ask. Whether it's me, like I don't give a shit. I will platform anybody I think is worth the time to platform. But I think it's that thinking of like, well, this is just a gig. Well, then it's always going to be a gig.
Yeah.
Like
Have fun. Have fun,
it's going to be
man.
a gig. It's going to be a side hustle gig for the rest of your fucking
Yeah.
life. But you can make
Mm.
real money in this. I mean, I
Yeah.
know people that are millionaires because of this industry. I know people that have written several books that are on talk shows and doing speaking engagements, and they are truly embodying health and fitness, and they are authority figures in the space because they've earned it. But none of
Hmm.
them are 27-year-old fucking influencers selling dark sport affiliate codes. They're truly intellectual professionals who
Yeah.
have been on the grind, who have done the education. But if you, I don't, it also too, be careful with accumulating CEUs and be careful with just pouring
Oh,
and flooding yourself with education that you then can't use because it's not about the next cert or about the next seminar you go to or whatever. Find the missing gaps. Like, what is it in your knowledge base that you don't have that you think you need to be able to then offer to your clientele base because you're solving specific problems? And it starts with understanding what your client's problems are. If you know those concretely, which we all know are very basic problems, then you don't need to go down the rabbit hole of like, oh, well, I need to get a functional health cert. If you want to go swim in those waters, go right ahead. But understand that most of your clients' problems are not functional health problems. They're basic problems that are
yeah.
they're being convinced are debilitating SIBO and estrogen dominance and insulin resistance and all these big scary words when really you can just boil it down to you're too fat, you're under muscled, you don't move enough, you don't do enough
Yeah.
cardio, you don't lift hard enough, you eat like an asshole on the weekends. That's why you have the problems you have. And those are lifestyle problems that are going to take time, 6 months or more, to fix. And you have to be able to be that person that's with them for that long.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to become part of their life, right? I mean, I tell this to a lot of my athletes, I guess, and people that I work with. Had this conversation last week where it's like, if you just want programming and that you feel like you have the lifestyle component down, like here you go. You know what I mean? Like I'm more than happy to just like shill a 12-week thing. You know what I mean? Like there you go, it's yours, like take it and run. Like I'm not gonna, say no to you, like knowing that that's where you want to be at, right? But if you want accountability, if you want, like, it literally means I have to be involved in your life. We have to talk frequently, and we have to have a certain level of like a certain level of vulnerability with each other that I don't
Yep.
care who, like, I've said this to like professional athletes. I've said this to, Granny Jones down the street, right? Like we kind of have, like, I have to be able to like dig into the weeds a little bit. Again, like you said, not a therapist. We got to go into like some like shitty territory sometimes. And you have to trust that I'm operating in the best interest with you, like in the shit. And we will only be able to go as deep into the shit as you are willing to dig,
And a lot
right?
of it is unfortunately psychological, but I think too, just to
Hmm.
protect your own energy as a coach and as a leader, because that's what we are,
Yeah.
we have to understand what our own boundaries are. Like I used to take on very, very complicated disordered eating cases and body
Hmm.
image cases. And it became so taxing and exhausting for me because I didn't actually have a tangible solution to offer them because I wasn't communicating with them enough, nor did I have the CBT skill sets to be able
Yeah.
to help them fix their problems. So I started because of my referral network and because I know so many people in the industry. There are people that are equipped to handle that. And there are people that will
Yeah.
set up their practice and their service to handle those types
For
of
that.
issues.
Hmm.
And now you may not know those issues exist until month three, but that's why I prefer, and again, this is not like business coaching advice that you need to take. I like month to month anything. I don't
Hmm.
like locking people into paid in fulls. I don't like people signing
Agreed.
contracts. Because here's the thing, like let's say somebody sells a 6 month paid in full, and after a month, that client sucks, they're draining, they're taxing. Do you really ethically and morally want to keep 5 months of their money, even though you know you don't want to keep them as clients? Like at
No.
that point, like even the other day, I had a
Hell
woman
no.
sign up with me, and 3 days later, she's like, "Well, I don't. This isn't working for me." Now, granted, she did nothing. She knew exactly what the expectations were. She didn't want to
Fucking A, yeah.
bother. Closed mindset of the nth degree. Now I'm like, I can certainly keep this person's $298 because I delivered my initial assessment to them. I gave them all the paperwork. I gave them their calories, their macros, their workouts. I gave them everything. I delivered my end of the bargain. But they've only been with me for 3 days. I haven't really done anything. Should I keep the $298? And I'm like, no, fuck that, because I would much rather sleep at night knowing that I gave her a refund out of
Yeah.
and I refunded
Take
her
it.
out of spite. Like, to be very honest with you, like, fuck you. You're not going to be the person that doesn't like me because because you didn't think I was the right fit and I also kept your money. Like, you may have not thought I was the right fit, but let's be honest. You didn't want to do anything. You thought this was going to be fucking a cakewalk and a simple thing where you're just going to get a meal plan and run with it. I'm going to give you your money back. So then that way, a year from now, you are not going to talk shit about me. And you're going to have clients that you don't do right by. You're going to have clients that don't succeed. You're going to have clients that don't like you, that will talk
Plenty.
shit about you, but that's fine because a majority of them will. And a majority of them, those lives, there's people whose lives I've changed forever. Like, they couldn't get pregnant, they got pregnant. They couldn't lose weight, they lost weight. Their relationships with their spouses got better because they built more confidence and they stopped playing small and they started to speak up for their needs and wants. Like, there are little nuggets along the way, just like kids are listening to their parents or mimicking their parents without actually getting any instruction. Our
Yeah.
clients are like our kids, like they are paying attention. Eventually, through osmosis, the stuff that we say and the stuff that we deliver catches on. And what you're doing is you're building a little army of people who kind of think and believe the stuff that you think and believe. And if you think and believe things that are appropriate, that are science based and that are anecdotally driven, then I think you're doing net good and net positive in this industry. And you're not always going to be right. There's going to be stuff you fuck up
No.
on. There's going to be things that you miss, and that's okay.
That's the only path to learning and doing it right someday. The only one,
Yep.
right? So yeah, heard,
I'm just,
man.
I'm looking at Lucas's
Yeah.
message here. Clients on their journey have resigned from a corporate job I was in for 2 years, and I went back to personal training school and SA's top gym company 4 months ago into working with my new clients. I noticed they didn't have the basic functional squats since introducing the basic, they enjoy their next one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, and Lucas, thanks for sharing that. And
Yeah.
I love I resigned from my corporate job. so many people are afraid to take that full-time leap because they're not quite at full-time status yet and they're still kind of hanging on to the other gig for comfort. You have to almost have your back up against the wall financially a little bit because that puts you in the hot seat of having to shit or get off the pot. And you're going to know whether this industry is for you because you'll fight tooth and nail to be in it or you won't. When I made that choice back in 2012, I had options. I could have stayed in finance. I could have
Mhm.
gotten another job in the industry, which I was plenty qualified for and had the contacts for. And I didn't because it wasn't for me. I never felt for me. I never wanted it. And then I didn't really have a passion for fitness and nutrition until I started to actually do it. And then the passion started to kind of grow like this weird cancer inside of me. And it just kept becoming like if it is the thing that you think about when you wake up in the morning and is the thing that you think about before you go to bed at night, you belong in this industry. And the longer you wait to make that switch, as scary as that switch might be, I'm not saying like, hey, if the job that you have that's supporting your rent and all of your expenses is your main gig and you're still kind of side hustling fitness and nutrition, don't immediately go ahead and quit your fucking $200,000 a year job to go scrape by with 3 grand a month. But if you're kind of in that middle point where you can do a little bit of assessment by saying, hey, how much do I need to make on a monthly basis to at least pay my bills? Can I
Yep.
do that? Do I have a little bit of cushion on the back end to survive the next 90 days if I wanted to make that transition? Like, be smart about it. Like, I'm sure you're probably buying shit on Amazon. I'm sure you're buying the cup of coffee at Starbucks every day. I'm sure you've done a photo shoot for your business card, all this other dumb shit that coaches will do, or you bought the new Lululemon gear or the new Nikes that none of your clients actually care about. Like, take that money and invest it into systems, invest it into education, invest it into networking. Like this stuff, this is a free opportunity. And I'm not saying that I'm the authority figure on any of this stuff, but like this is the kind of stuff that you take the time to do because it's going to do two things. It's either going to teach you something new or it's going to reinforce that you know what the fuck you're doing and you should go all in. Either
Yeah.
way, it's a net positive for you, whether it be going to an event like my summit in April. Are you going to learn something monumentally new on stage? Maybe you don't, but maybe you have a conversation in the hallway with somebody that you meet that opens up your thinking about something that you've never thought about, and that puts another 3 grand in your pocket a month that you never had before. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. I can't tell you the amount of people I've met and podcasts I've been on and friends that I've made that have propped me up in this industry and I would have never had those opportunities if I didn't max out 2 credit cards, if I didn't take the chance to be in rooms by myself that I didn't know anybody
Yeah.
at.
Take some fucking risk.
You have to. I mean,
Have to.
there's so many folks that are going to be good at this if they want to be, and there's going to be a majority of people that will not be here 2 years from now.
Yep, which we have one of the highest turnover rates we've seen right now as well. Some of the stuff that, we research as a company, like, man, it is people are churning like crazy. And I think it's because it is a really hard industry, like
Very
I
hard.
think it's 70%, if not more, like coaches don't see six figures a day in their career, like like having like like that much accrued across a year. And like it's it's so, I don't know, it's so hard to get there. But like the injury and the industry is very saturated, but it's also saturated with a lot of shit. And maybe like one story I can tell about specifically Real Coaches Summit and how like it evolved into something was, we went last year, put a booth on, um, met Luca Hocevar, who was presenting there. And Luca came on and did the second episode ever of Unracked, the show that we're on. And he shared some training templates, right, and such that are on our platform and got a ton of use and started to help like a ton more people, right? And it's like those little things, like, never would have existed if you didn't host the event, right? And if we didn't attend and he didn't attend. And like that's why I'm like so excited for it again this year, is because I can't wait to, especially with like that taste we got last year, like just how much more we can do for the broader community of coaches, of like, people who are presenting of the athletes or the, people that we're going to work with. Like, it literally does not get better unless we get together, slow down for a minute, go super deep on, the problems that we're facing and talk to people that know how to solve them and fricking implement. So yeah, it's a powerful event. Do you want to tell us like a little bit more about Real Coaches Summit?
Yeah, just in a nutshell, it's a 2.5 day event. And the reason why I call it 2.5 is because usually people get there on a Sunday. We have a welcome dinner on Sunday night after you register. We sit down, we hang out, social afterwards. And then the education is 12 hours essentially. So there's two different rooms, two different speakers. You're going to have an hour with each speaker. And then if you miss them in one room, you can see them the second day. So you're going to have the same presentation on both stages. I do that on purpose because that way then people can kind of self-select what track they go on. And if they don't want to learn about PCOS, they don't have to. You can go into,
Yeah.
the other room. Or if you want to take that hour as a break, you certainly can. But then everybody gets the recordings afterwards anyway. But it's 12 hours, 12 different speakers, 12 different topics, ranging from hypertrophy training to emotional eating tactics to peptides and PEDs to programming around pain. So it's a variety of things that we practically see every single day as coaches, and that's how I select my speakers. I want to make sure that they're industry professionals dealing with real clients today. They're not just like
Mhm.
running their company on their own anymore. Like they're still in the weeds coaching. So that way we're getting practical solutions to problems. All meals are included. There's socials every single night. There's no sales pitch of any kind. Like I don't come on stage at the end of it and like, oh, buy my $20,000 mastermind or sign up for this thing and you have 23 hours to do it. Like the only people that pitch anything are honestly my vendors. Like the people
Mhm.
even they don't pitch anything. Like it's not like you're walking around with fucking, you know, bridge notebooks and throwing them at everybody with a coupon code. Like you're just there, you're talking to people, you have your booth and
Yeah.
people are welcome to go up to it if they want and they're welcome to not if they don't want to.
Yep.
But I want to keep it as sales free and as bullshit free as possible because there's plenty of other people that are doing it the other way, and I don't want to be part of that crew. And that's why I created this thing. I created this, and I call it the Real Coaches Summit because I want it to be for real professionals, like not how fast can I get rich and how much can I swindle out of people and what's my next quickest scheme to make another 10K and what more plays can I put on to squeeze more money out of people. It's no.
Yep.
How can I be the most practically sound professional that I can be to solve real client problems, earn their trust, and earn my money?
Love that. Love that. What are some of the topics this year that might be interesting to people in here?
Well, let's let's do it the right way because it's that way at least I give you the actual
Yeah.
from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So we have the deadlift unhinged, technical breakdown, cues, corrections, and programming strategies from Tasha Whelan.
Hmm.
Programming around pain when training becomes the medicine from Justin Farnsworth, DPT. PCOS made practical, lifestyle first coaching framework for real results from Dr. Ashley Dwyer.
Hmm.
Coaching women in menopause, the evidence, the myths, the reality from Amanda Thebe, foremost authority figure on menopause. Set point theory, decoding weight loss variability through human
Mm.
biology and behavior. That's Brad Dieter, the guy who owns Macros
Yeah.
Inc. We got
Mhm.
the nerdy meathead, creating effective hypertrophy programming using exercise mechanics. Ryan Taylor owns a business
Yeah.
up in Canada. They coach a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
Cutting the noise on GLP-1s and emerging agents, mechanisms, limits, and the harm in demonizing them. She's a functional nurse practitioner out of New York who's going to be talking about that. Real coaching in an AI world, upgrade your coaching using AI the right way. My friend Isaac Miller, who just got his master's in AI coding, just a wealth
Yeah.
of knowledge on how to use AI
Smart dude.
properly. Uh, and then tactical solutions to stop emotional eating for better client results. Jared Hamilton, like the king guru, in my opinion, on anything emotional eating.
Mm.
From data to direction, using lab work to guide, not diagnose, which I think we're starting to understand we need more of. That's from Connie Nightingale. She's a wealth of information. She's a competitive power lifter and just a really smart gal. PEDs versus peptides, what coaches need to know. Michael Warner used to work for Merrick Health, was one of their consultants, and now is on his own. Why your clients aren't following through, practical solutions to resolve client resistance. Lily Millardy's got a um, educational background in psychology, and she works with creating frameworks for coaches to improve their compliance. She's a wealth of knowledge. The site says that all inclusive, but also says you buy an event ticket. Can you clarify as the nine? So the 948 bucks is an event ticket, but the event includes all of your meals. So we have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day with a welcome dinner on the front end. And then the ticket buys you access to all of that. But yeah, those are the topics. The website itself is realcoachessummit.com.
Yeah.
The Instagram page is for it is real.coaches.summit. If you have any questions, like I don't have any virtual assistants or any assistant coaches. I do all this shit myself. I host the event myself. I pay for it, unfortunately, out of pocket if I don't make enough money from ticket sales and sponsors. So I lost 100 grand on it in the first 2 years because I miscalculated some stuff and fucked up. So that was a painful lesson to learn.
Ow.
It's 100% crowd funded. Like if I don't sell enough hotel rooms, it's on me. If I don't sell enough tickets, it's on me. There's not enough of these things available and around anymore. They're just dying out because they're so expensive. Like that's just to give you guys an idea, it's $220,000 to host this event.
Hmm.
And you're fully contracted through the hotel and through the casinos in Vegas. So like there's no me like negotiating or getting out of it. Like I either pay for
Yep.
it or I don't. And if I don't, I get put in claims court and I'm fucked for life. So like this is very much a passion project that I didn't know how much I bit off when I did it. But at this point, like I truly believe like if I don't do it, nobody else will. And
Hmm.
it's been a wonderful experience. Like the first year we had 150 attendees. Second year was about 240. Second year, third year was 265. This year coming up in April, I'm expecting somewhere between 250 and 280 again. It's a lot of fun. It's very down to earth. Like there's no pressure. Everybody's on the same playing field. Like you'll be in a room
Yep.
with somebody like Andrew Coates just hangs out in the background. These dude's got 20 years under his belt, but he's going to treat you like like he's your big brother. Everybody is so welcoming, so warm. There's no mean
Yep.
girls. There's no cliques. There's round tables for everybody to hang out at.
Yeah.
You know, podcasts have been formed from it. Relationships have emerged from it. It's just
Yeah.
it's
A lot of
unlike
friends, a lot
any
of friendships.
a lot
Yeah,
of
I know
friendships. It's
from a
just
guy who I went with.
and it's just fun. Like if anybody knows me, like that New York Wolf of Wall Street party boy is still very much alive inside of me. And if you're brave enough to last all 3 days and you want to come out with me in Vegas on Tuesday night, I take a big group of us out to a karaoke live band speakeasy, and we're out relatively late. Cooper was there. He remembers,
I
I
was
think,
there. I was
kind of
there.
remembers.
I remember. I remember it all. It was beautiful. Beautiful,
But
beautiful establishment. It
I don't
really is. It's
remember. I
it's
don't
super
remember the
cool.
back half of it. I don't even remember being on stage because I do remember singing. I remember that I sang. Um, what's his name? George Michael.
Yeah.
Faith.
Dude, I had to dip before that. We had an early ass flight and Max was starting to get a little, he's like, I'm so sleepy.
Well,
So
Max
hard
can't
weighing
stay out.
250 with abs.
Yeah, Max can't stay out past 8 o'clock. That's that he
I'm gonna
becomes
show him this.
catabolic after that. But
Yeah,
yeah, guys,
yeah,
I don't
he
want to
does.
give you guys a big sales pitch on why you should go. It's one of those things. If you go, great. I would love to have you there. If you don't, I honestly do believe you're missing out because you're not going to get this much education in one room that's actually good education. And this
Hmm.
isn't like talking head TED style talk 30-minute bullshit. Like this is like in depth. This is what works. This is the data to back it up, and this is what you can implement in your own practice today
Yeah.
immediately. That's the kind of stuff that we put out there. So I hope to meet as many of you as I can. I can't thank Bridge enough for being a part of it. And
Yeah. Stoked to be a part of it.
my DMs are open for each and every one of you. If there's, I'll hop on phone calls with you. I'll listen to you bitch about whatever you have to bitch about. I'm always here.
Yeah, Ram is a super responsive guy. So if you guys have anything you want to throw his way, like don't hesitate. He's a good dude. He wants to work with people like me and you. So wonderful. We'll be shooting some follow-up information out kind of about Real Coaches Summit as well on our end. So everyone kind of keep a lookout for that. Those emails as they come. It's realcoachessummit.com though.
Yeah.
Just to
Yep.
reiterate that. Okay,
Yep.
beautiful.
April 26th to the 28th of this year.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, cool. And then I think to wrap us up for today, there were a couple questions that
Yeah,
we didn't get to answer yet. So we'll hit that
please.
and we'll be set.
Yeah, let's go.
Um, let me take a look here. All right. So looks like both of these are about assessments. Um, so I guess let's examine more broadly, kind of what you're doing at the gate, to do intake and then to use that information to start the plan and the program.
So really the way that like my onboarding, I'll give you
Mhm.
a very, so I launched a $98 offer Sunday night. I
Yep.
basically was like,
Cool.
I have a 298 that then drops down to 195. I have this $24.99 a month app training only thing. I need to have something in the middle, not only to upsell the training people, but also to downsell the people that might want to leave coaching in general, but then they could stick around. So what it is, it's just a once a month check-in, two form check videos a week. They get customized, and I don't like the word customized because that sounds so wildly specific, but really what it is just it's personalized to you because of your weight and your circumstances. So I
Yep.
give them macros and calorie targets based on their current body composition, their weight, and their goal. So if it's fat loss, it's something different than maintenance.
Yep.
And then I give them a training program. I give them step count goals. I give them cardiovascular goals depending on what their goal is. I would say that there's real no assessment on the front end. I have to see people execute, and then I make determinations based off of that. But I make that very clear to people when they sign up. Like I don't, I assess my intake form includes some questions that gives me some background on them. And then during my 30-minute onboarding call with them, I get a little bit of a feel for what they know, what they don't know. But then you got to get into it. Like we have to watch the rubber meet the road, and that's where I
Mhm.
start to make modifications to things if I feel like they need to be made. But I don't go into the depths of like physical assessments. I don't assess what their shoulder mobility is or what their hip
Yeah.
mobility is because I will see that when they submit a squat video or when they submit an overhead press video. And by and large, most people are not that fucked up and they're not that orthopedically limited. It's really just more they don't understand the movement. They've never really executed to a full range of motion. They don't know what full range of motion even means. So when you actually watch people go through the motions of the stuff that you're assigning, that's when you can start breaking stuff down. And that's the learn by doing model that I like better.
Beautiful. Cool. Thank you for breaking that down for us. I think that covered basically everything at that point.
Okay. Yeah. And if
Um,
anybody has any other like system-based questions or like what platforms do I use? Like I use
mhm.
Chronometer for food tracking. I deliver programming through the Heavy app, but that's wildly inefficient and stupid when you have Bridge. So I would just recommend that you use that. I'm just so technologically resistant that I find the old fuck way of doing everything. So don't do what I do. There's way more efficient ways to do things than I do them. But I have the finance brain, and because I can manage a lot of data in my head, I work with 112 people currently and everybody is essentially one-on-one. It just depends on how often they check in. I have people that check in bi-weekly. I have people that check in weekly, and then I have people that check in monthly, which is the new offer that I have. But I tier it so like my bi-weekly people are, every other week, but then I don't do that on the same week that I do my monthly people because then that would just overload me too much.
Yeah, yeah.
If I was to put a number on the amount of time I spend in front of a computer on a weekly basis, it's probably somewhere between 20 to 30 hours tops.
Yep.
And I really do mean tops. I have a lot of free time, and in that free time, I spend either creating content, creating newsletter stuff that I do send out once every 2 weeks, obviously working on event stuff. A lot of it is spent teaching myself things and reinforcing my own knowledge base of things by taking other people's work and researching it deeper. Like if I know that Alyssa Olenek is the authority figure on bioenergetics, I will go into her YouTube channel. I will watch something. I
Gower.
will I will transcribe it. I will put it into Chat GPT and I will have it teach me whatever I need to know about it. I will ask it questions based off of that material. Um, I'm just a perpetual nerd, and
Yeah.
I don't have no kids and stuff like that, so I have the time to do it. But yeah, and if you want to be connected to anybody, if you
Yeah.
want whatever it is that you guys need, please just don't ever hesitate to ask.
Yeah. Take the risk. Why not?
Take the risk. I won't bite your head off. Don't worry.
That's right. That's
I
right.
seem a lot meaner than I really am.
So he's a real sweetheart, all right. And when you see him partying it up, I mean, he's not stressed out anymore on the third night. You'll know we were right.
Yeah. Well,
Beautiful.
chemicals do their job.
That's right. That's right. Cool. All right. Um, thank you y'all for coming in today. And Aram, dude, thanks so much. This was a blast. This will be published to YouTube. Usually takes a day or two for us to kind of get everything, set on our end. But
Oh,
it'll be there. And
do we want to offer the 300 thing?
yes, yes,
Okay.
thank you so much for interrupting me there. Hit it.
So the compensation that Bridge has offered me for this hour talk, I'm going to donate to somebody to put towards a ticket to the Real Coaches Summit. So if you're somebody who's been on this call or will be on this call, shoot me a DM through the Real Coaches Summit Instagram page, real.coaches.summit. Tell me that you were on this call. Shoot me a reason of why you think you need the 300 bucks and how it will help you, why you want to go, and then you and I can hop on the phone and chat about it, and I'll make a determination on who gets that. But it's going to be
Beautiful.
merit based on your personality. If you suck as a human being, you're not getting it. If you're cool, it'll be tough for me to make a decision.
Beautiful. That's money on the table, folks. That's education. That'll help you. Um, so yeah, we appreciate that. And yeah, thanks for doing everything you do for the community, man. You're an awesome dude, and we're grateful to have you on today.
Thanks, man. I appreciate the opportunity to chat.
Of course. All right, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and have a great rest of your week.
See you
Take care.
guys.
Later.